What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Jack. I'm a regional airline pilot based out in New York City. I like to show you guys my daily life, flying, what it's like to be a regional airline pilot, and all the fun stuff that comes along with it. I just want to say thank you for 1,000 subscribers. Never in a million years did I think that the 2 videos were going to get me to that, but here we are, and I couldn't be more excited to show you guys the journey to come and just all the fun stuff that's happening in the airline world and just in my life in general. And I do want to just say I apologize for not posting. I know it was only 2 videos, but I did get quite a few comments asking like why I stopped posting. I think it was just life. I was focused on flying a lot and just enjoying what I was doing here in New York and just everything else. We're back though, gonna start posting some more videos again. I'm currently on the way to the gym right now, and then I have a 3-day later. So gonna go work out, gotta pack my suitcase, and I will bring you guys along. So when I was on my way to the train, I realized that I forgot my passport, my certificates, and my medical. So I had to go back, and then I was gonna take an Uber to the bus station so I could still make it on time. And then the flight just got delayed by like an hour and 50 minutes. So back to the train station we go. So I just got to the airport. I just got to the gate that I'm supposed to be at. The airplane I'm supposed to take out should be here pretty soon, but like I said, we're delayed, so I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit. I just got coffee. I got this little yogurt parfait thing that I have. It's got strawberries, bananas, honey, and granola in there. I am trying my best to do a lot better with eating, especially on trips and just at home in general, because I've been kind of slacking. So eating better, back on a good workout routine. But yeah, other than that, just gonna hang out for a little bit and wait for the plane. All right, after a 4-hour delay, finally got down to the airplane. As of now, we're not being delayed anymore. So we're going up to Toronto, then we come back to LaGuardia, and then we have an overnight in Burlington. Right now it shows us getting in at 1:30 in the morning, so it's gonna be a pretty long night. Just got done with the pre-flight walk around. It's starting to snow, maybe a little bit of freezing rain, so we'll probably have to spray off. Hopefully it doesn't turn into anything more than snow. We go to Toronto, back to LaGuardia, and then Burlington. All right, we just made it to Toronto. It's cold and snowy here. Got in pretty late, obviously with the 4-hour delay, but now we go back to LaGuardia. This is gonna be my leg. And we made it to the hotel here in Burlington. Definitely got here later than we were supposed to with that 4-hour delay to start the day. But just to recap, we went LaGuardia to Toronto, Toronto back to LaGuardia, then came up here to Burlington. With that delay, the other 2 flights got pushed back quite a bit. We were due in at like 11:30 tonight, but we just got it. It's 2:29 in the morning right now. We got here at like 2 o'clock, definitely a little bit later, and now we have a min rest, 10 hours exactly. Gonna get to bed here, wake up a little bit earlier than I would like to, but I'm gonna go downstairs, get breakfast, because they got a pretty good free breakfast here. That'll pretty much be the morning. Was gonna try to work out, but obviously now with the rest, definitely not gonna do that tomorrow morning, but we have a Cincinnati layover tomorrow, and they have a pretty good hotel gym, so hopefully all goes well and I can wake up in the morning and get a workout in, get some breakfast, and have a little bit more of a morning. Anyways, it was super good to be back after about 10 days off and no flying, with being in Australia last week with my girlfriend for vacation. Just feels good to be back into the swing of things. I just gotta say that I feel super grateful to, you know, be here flying, doing this job, doing what I love. And with the DCA crash and the Lear crash, and just seems like there's a lot of stuff going on in aviation right now. And I'm not going to talk about any of it. I'm not going to make any speculations. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to wait for all the answers to come out. But all I want to say is that, you know, those families, those people, they're all in my prayers, and I'm thinking about them constantly. And I'm not going to lie, today when I did that first takeoff out of LaGuardia again, it was kind of like, it felt a little different, you know, thinking about all that in the back of my head. At the end of the day, gotta move on. You still gotta do the job, and at the end of the day, it still is the safest form of transportation out there. But I just feel super grateful to be doing what I am still, and that's that. But anyways, I'm gonna get some sleep. I'm also gonna try to knock out a Q&A because I did a poll on my Instagram at some point in this video. So that won't be tomorrow, but that'll probably be at the start of day 3 or when I get home, and then I'll throw it in this video. Anyways, that's a wrap on day 1. Gonna go to bed, and I will catch you guys in the morning. Good night. We just got to the airport, just got done with the pre-flight walk around. Like I said, to LaGuardia, we got a Richmond turn, then to Cincinnati. Leg 1 of 4 is gonna be my leg. All right, as you can tell, we just got to LaGuardia. I went and got a smoothie at the protein bar. We're at gate 65, it's over at the 80s gates. It's like a 10-minute walk, and then I went and got a cold brew from Starbucks, feeling just a little sluggish, so try to wake myself up a little bit. But I did not take the first leg. I actually get the next 2, and the captain's taking the last one into Cincy tonight. And just like that, day 2 of 3 is done. It was a pretty long day, I'm not gonna lie. Just got to the hotel. It was an easy day. We were basically able to leave early for every single flight and get in early for every single flight, so it was kind of nice. I'm a big fan of having at least like 45 minutes to an hour between each flight. I don't know, that's just me, but I kind of like just landing, taking a second to relax, having like a snack or something. I don't know, it just makes the day a little bit more enjoyable and not as hectic for the most part, especially when you're doing 4 legs. I just got back from Australia, and I'm still trying to kind of get used to the time change again. It's kind of nice because I still feel a little bit sluggish getting used to everything, but I think after tonight, a good night's rest, I think it should be pretty good because we're here on time. We have like 15 hours here. I'm gonna try to get at least 8 hours of sleep tonight, go downstairs for breakfast, probably try to get a workout in. I need to start running again because I am supposed to do a half marathon in March in New York City. The last marathon I was supposed to do, I ended up not doing it because I hurt my left knee pretty bad. I wasn't able to run for over a month. Every single time I would try to run, I just had a ton of pain. So wasn't able to do that, but we're backing it off, trying to do a half marathon. So that's the day. I'm just gonna get out of this uniform, have some food, stretch a little bit, call the girlfriend, and then go to bed, and I will catch you guys in the morning. Good night. All right, I'm walking to the grocery store right now, and this is the fit we got going on. Just the hoodie and the shorts. I didn't really bring much with me on this trip, honestly, because I noticed that all of my end times were pretty late at night, and I had semi-decent early report time, so I didn't even think that I would really need anything. But I need to get some like microwave rice or something, and then just a couple other things so I have some food for today, so I'm not snacking on the airplane, because that's one thing that I have told myself that I'm gonna try to stop doing this year, because I was doing it a lot. right, just got to the airplane. It's beautiful out in Cincinnati. We got 3 legs today. We have to LaGuardia, then we have a Charlotte turn. Alrighty, as you can tell, we are not in New York right now. I'm actually in a hotel in Norfolk, Virginia. I'm on an overnight. I'm on night 1 of a 4-day trip. I did not get to end the video of the 3-day trip when I got home. I had gotten home pretty late. I ended up just getting in my apartment, changing, and honestly going straight to bed. I had a pretty packed day, I think. I only had a couple days off and then I ended up going home. So I was a little busy trying to just get stuff done. So I did not get to end that video, but I do want to get to that Q&A. So I had put on my Instagram a couple weeks ago a poll, or at least like one of those question boxes, and asked what you guys had question-wise about the airline life, pilot life, how I got here, things like that. I'm probably gonna pick just a few questions out of there, answer those, and that's how we're gonna wrap up this video of that 3-day trip. Yeah, let's get to it. All right, so starting off with the first question. So question is, why the airline that I'm currently at right now? When I was going through flight training, I was really focused on getting my hours, and I was really focused on, getting to this next step of getting to the airline. But I didn't really have a good idea of where I truly wanted to go, or at least I had just one airline in mind, to be completely honest with you guys. I only did one interview, and I ended up, when I did the interview, I did it on site. So this was back in 2023 that I did the interview. They were supposed to come to our flight school and do it on site with us, but the weather ended up actually getting pretty bad when they were supposed to come. So it just turned the on-site interviews, they ended up just being online. I did my interview at my flight school at Kent State in literally one of our ground school rooms, and it was about an hour in length. I'm not too sure about other airlines and how long their interview processes are. I've heard mixed things about other airlines. Some are pretty long, some are right around that 45 minutes to an hour mark, but mine was about an hour long. It involved, HR questions, tell me about a time when questions, why this airline, technical questions about aviation and just like aerodynamics and things like that. The interview process got me to get my CJO, my conditional job offer. Honestly, my reasons for doing it were pretty simple. It was an airline that had really good pay. Number 2, it just seemed like I knew a lot of people that were going there. So that helped me out. Like I knew that I had some sort of a community. I knew some people that were gonna be there. So I was always able to talk to them and get their insight about the company and just things like that. And it always seemed like they were having a pretty good time. I mean, obviously there's always gonna be the days that kind of suck, but at the end of the day, I do love my job. I do love the airline that I chose, and it's definitely the best decision that I've ever made. And it's ultimately gonna set me up for my next steps in my career. I think lastly, if I had to pick another reason, it's because the airline I'm at now led me to moving to New York. It has been the best decision of my entire life to move to New York, and I wouldn't change anything. All right, next question. So what is the quality of life like at a regional, commuting versus living in base, picking up trips, and being on reserve? I think this is a great question. Now, I don't have a good answer as to what it's like commuting. I only know what it's like living in base. I have impressions and just basically reviews from people that I know, that I'm friends with, that have been commuting their entire time. And at the end of the day, I think the stat is like there's more than 50% of the airline industry are actually commuting to work. It is a great job. I mean, my company specifically has one of the best commuting policies for regional that's out there, and it helps out in that aspect. And I'm gonna be moving out of New York this coming April. I'm gonna be heading over to Chicago and living in Chicago. So I'm going to be a commuter here pretty soon, but as of now, living in base. So number 1, I was obviously on reserve to start out. So I was only on reserve for about 3 months, but for the most part, living in base made being on reserve a lot better because I didn't have to get a crash pad. I didn't have to get hotels or anything like that. Now my apartment was pretty expensive, so I guess there's pros and cons there. I'm in base, which makes being on reserve a lot better, which also meant I could pick up a lot more. So when I was on reserve, I was giving myself, the lowest amount of days off that I had was actually back in August. I only had 5 days off. That's because I was just picking up like crazy. It was my best month at the airline that I've ever had, without a doubt. But it was all possible just because I was living in base. I didn't have to fly in from Cleveland, Ohio or anywhere else, you know, get a hotel, stay in a crash. I guess staying in a crash pad would probably be a little bit better, but I don't know, there's just something about a crash pad that never was really all that appealing to me. In terms of that, quality of life, huge. I didn't have to worry about hopping on a flight, didn't have to worry about paying extra money for a hotel or a crash pad or anything like that. And it allowed me to pick up a lot more, which made my quality of life living in New York, where it's so expensive, so much more, because I didn't have to stress out about money and trying to, you know, just live paycheck to paycheck or anything like that. Now, I don't think I would ever have to do that in my situation. I'm very fortunate with the pay that I do get with my job, especially when you add the per diem on top that's not taxable. That helps out a lot, and it makes it easier. I wouldn't say that it would be the most lavish lifestyle. I would definitely have to watch my money more if I didn't pick up, but picking up is a lot easier, and quality of life is just a whole lot better when you live in base. The next question, what was my first impression after landing the jet for the first time? If you don't know, you're gonna know now. The first time that a pilot that has never flown a jet, and they came from flight instructing or, you know, just flight school, and they weren't prior military or they weren't flying a jet before, the first time you're gonna fly a jet, the actual jet, is going to be when you're out on the line with the line check pilot next to you with passengers in the back. And that's not to scare anyone that didn't know that. We are fully qualified. You know, we go through so much training. We go through so many different scenarios. We are more than ready to be able to go out and fly the jet, and especially having someone with so much experience next to us that's helping us and coaching us along the way after getting our type rating in the sim. It all works, and it's safe. And honestly, it was really easy transitioning from the sim to the actual jet, flying wise and procedure wise. It's the hardest stuff to learn is honestly the day-to-day stuff, and just learning all the logistical things that take place and all the different challenges that take place that you can't really replicate in the sim, that you can really only replicate when you're actually out on the line flying. My first ever landing was in the White Plains. My line check airman, he took off out of Atlanta, and then he basically was like, yeah, I'm gonna take off, and then you're gonna land it in the White Plains. And it was, I was ready for it, but it was just like, holy crap, this is gonna be really quick. And I remember I did it, and I put it down pretty decently, and I was like, that was the coolest thing in the entire world. Like, this is what I've been working for so long, and it was just a sweet feeling. Like, I remember it like it was yesterday, and it was definitely a little, like, it was different because there was just a lot more going on. Obviously, there were a little bit of nerves, but I felt super ready, and I had a great line check pilot, and he helped me through the entire thing, and definitely a 10 out of 10 experience. All right, so the next question is gonna be like 2 in 1. So the first one is my biggest regret, and then the second one is a story time as a student pilot. So I wouldn't say that I really had many regrets. I'm a person that likes to think that I don't have too many regrets in life, because I think ultimately everything that happens for a reason. I truly think everything that happened to me in my flying journey has been for a really good reason, and I wouldn't trade anything for the world. But I would say that there's things I would do differently for sure. I started college in 2017 in August, and then I wasn't able to fly till January of 2018 in the spring semester. So to be exact, January 26th of 2018, I took my first ever flight. It was a 141 school, Kent State University. Did all my stage checks, all my solo cross-country requirements, the whole shebang to be able to get your private license. And then exactly 9 months later, on October 26th of 2018, I took my private check ride. I passed it. There were things in that I did wrong, not necessarily maybe in the flying. I wish I studied more, number one. But number two, I had joined a fraternity. I just did everything I could to enjoy my college experience. Now, I can't say that I'm mad at I wouldn't say mad at myself. I think I'm mad at myself from time to time, but I can't say that I regret it, because ultimately doing all those things led me to getting bad grades, number one. So obviously, you know, if there's one thing I could say about being a really good pilot, is you also have to be good on the ground. You have to know your stuff. You can't just be good at flying the airplane. That's not what it's all about. Being a good pilot involves being good at flying and also knowing what's happening all around you, good situational awareness, good knowledge, and someone that never wants to stop learning. That's what is a really good pilot to me. And that's what I strive to be every single day. I only really flew. I didn't really study. I didn't really, take my studies and all my other classes seriously.
considering I was going for a 4-year bachelor's degree in aviation. That led me to getting a grade point average that was lower than enough to be able to fly. So I actually almost failed out of college, and that was a huge wake-up call for me because I had to stop flying, and then that led me to questioning whether or not I actually wanted to fly, which I truly don't think I ever wanted to stop flying. I think me switching to a different major was kind of an outlet because I could actually do that and not worry about my grade point average keeping me back from that. But when I switched my major, I switched to exercise science, and I think literally in the first semester, human anatomy and physiology, I love that type of stuff, but I figured out that I didn't like it as an actual job and learning about it in school. That made me realize I was like, I really want to fly. Like, that was super cool. This is what I need to be doing. And that was kind of my wake-up call to be able to get my grades up and really start taking things seriously. I dropped out of the fraternity. I still kept a lot of friends. Almost 2 years later, July 9th of 2020, after I got my grades up, after COVID, after I was able to re-enroll in the program, that's when I was able to actually fly again. So July 9th of 2020 was my first flight back after almost 2 years of no flying. And at that point, I started going for my instrument rating, my commercial single and my commercial multi. I got my CFI, I got my double I, and then I also found out that I really like teaching. A position for the lead flight instructor opened up at Kent State, and I applied for it. I interviewed, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get it, which was awesome. It helped me actually fly a little bit more. It allowed me to get my MEI for free as a scholarship, part of the job. And I flew with a ton of students. I was a 141 check instructor. So I was doing a lot of check rides. Full time now is no longer part time. And it just helped me overall be able to build more hours, but also gain a ton of experience and just learn a lot about myself, learn a lot about other people. And it taught me that I really, really like teaching. And if I'm here long enough at this airline to be able to become a line check pilot after I upgrade to captain, then I will definitely try to do that. I'm looking at hopefully upgrading by the end of the summer. That's the timeline that I'm looking at right now with how much I'm flying. So we'll see if that happens, but that's kind of the story time. And then after I did that, March 1st of 2024 was my last day at Kent State. And then 3 days later, I actually started training at the airline. And then May 11th of 2024 is when I took my ATP check ride. Took my first trip 5 days later. Now we're coming up on a year total of being at the airline, and it's been great. And like I said, I wouldn't say I had any regrets. I think I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, and I needed those bad moments and those times of being really low and almost not making it to be able to tell myself that I can make it, and to be able to get myself to a point where I could say I did it and I learned from it, I grew from it. And hopefully that's motivation for someone out there that might be going through the same situation, or they might be going through a situation where they feel like they might not be able to do it. Because if I can do it, anyone can do it. Anyone can truly do it. And it's all about changing your mindset and just changing for the better and growing and maturing and doing what you got to do to be able to do it. And now I have the best job in the world, and I wouldn't change it for anything. So the next one, I've answered this on my TikTok, so I'll answer it on here. And I'm gonna link everything below, my socials below. So if you wanna go check out any of the stuff on Instagram or any of the stuff on TikTok as well, it's a little bit more summed up. But this is a pretty simple and straightforward answer for the most part. So my thoughts on cadet programs, and do I think they're worth it? If this was 2021, 2022, I'd probably tell you it does not really matter. But nowadays, I think they're worth it 100%, because ultimately the cadet program, what that's gonna do is normally it's gonna be something that's partnered with a mainline carrier in the United States. And getting in that cadet program will give you a guaranteed job or a guaranteed job interview at that mainline carrier that they're associated with, which is a huge thing. For my current airline that I'm at now, my cadet program that I was in ultimately got me a job at the airline that I'm at now. Now, the cadet program that I was in did not guarantee me a job at mainline. It was just a job at regional. Things have changed, new cadet programs have rolled out to where now if I wanted to go back, I could get into a cadet program. I mean, they still had the same cadet program back then, it's just I was not in it. They're able to, or I could have applied for that, gone through the interview, and basically locked in a job at mainline. But I chose a different route just to get to the regional, because I didn't really know necessarily where I wanted to go for a mainline. And I guess my knowledge of the cadet programs was kind of slim at the time. So I just did the cadet program to be able to get to the regional, but ultimately that cadet program, what that helped me do was to be able to get that on-site interview and to be able to get my CJO from that. And now at my airline, there is an agreement when you upgrade to captain that if you stay for a captain as 2 years, you can flow to mainline after that, which is a really awesome thing. And not 100%, or at least I'm not 100% sure, but last time I checked, our hiring department is only hiring people from their cadet program right now. And I know there's some other regional airlines that are doing the same. So in this day and age, I would 100% recommend them. Do I think hiring is going to pick back up again at some point once the aircraft delays start going away and deliveries start picking back up? I think there will be hiring. I don't think it's going to be the movement that we saw a couple years ago, but I definitely think it'll pick back up, and maybe cadet programs won't be as necessary. But at the end of the day, I think they're always a good idea. Why not get your foot in a door somewhere so you always have something there working on your side? All right, so I kind of already answered this question a little bit, but there's a second part I haven't. So the first part was, what was the interview process like? So I already kind of talked about it, where it was about an hour long, HR stuff, aviation related questions. Tell me about a time when it was online. Unfortunately, just because of the weather, they weren't able to come out, but I was still in business attire. They were business attire. If they would have been there, it would have been just a little bit more of a professional setting. We probably would have been, in a conference room or something like that, not a ground school room. But overall, still a really good experience, and definitely still an airline interview, and I took it very seriously. In terms of making yourself stand out, things that can make yourself stand out would be, number one, like I just talked about, join a cadet program. That's going to get yourself a foot in the door. It's not a commitment until you go to training for whatever airline that cadet program is for. So that's a great start. Number two, this is controversial in a lot of things, but I don't think it's controversial, or at least controversial in this day and age. But in terms of the airlines, I don't think it's all that controversial at all, is to go get a degree. Whether or not that's in aviation or not, I think having a 4-year degree in something is something that airlines look for big time. It makes yourself stand out way more than someone that did not go to college. So I would recommend that. I know it's not necessarily the cheapest route, but going to be a pilot is really not cheap already. So if you're gonna spend the money, you might as well go get a degree in something to better your chances of getting a job, especially in this day and age. Another thing you could do is you could join programs like EAA, AOPA, OBAP, NGPA, Women in Aviation. There's a list of organizations that are huge in the aviation community. Getting in those and actually taking part in them and doing some volunteer work is big. So that's another thing I would recommend. And then overall, I think making connections, networking, going to hiring events, going to big events at your flight school or university where a bunch of companies come in. You could talk to pilots, you could talk to management, you could talk to recruiters, a ton of different people. That's how you're gonna make a lot of connections. And the longer that I'm in this industry, the more that I realize that connections are huge, especially with career advancement and taking your career to the next step and just helping you get there maybe a little bit faster, for example. So I recommend those things for sure to make yourself stand out. All right, so the next question is, what brand of roller bag do I use? So if you've been to the airport, you probably noticed that airline pilots walk around with these big black, just boxy suitcases that look like they're made out of steel, which the frame is actually made out of steel. And in no way, shape, or form is this sponsored or anything. This is just a really good bag when you're in aviation and you're just always on and off airplanes. They're getting slammed around. If they get thrown in the cargo compartment, in and out of the bins, you name it. They can handle it pretty well for the most part. So it's gonna be Luggage Works, and this is the Stealth Premier Series 22-inch roller bag. And this specific model has side pockets. You can get it without the side pockets. You can get it to where it's actually, I think they have a 26-inch roller. It's still the same width and everything, so it could still fit, especially in the CRJ overheads, but the 22-inch is perfect. It works for what I need, and I pretty much take it everywhere. Like I just took it to Sydney, Australia with me on my last trip that I just went on. But that's the brand of roller bag that I use. I do wish it was a little bit bigger. I tend to overpack. I like bringing normal shoes and shoes to work out, and with working out, I always bring extra clothes and things like that. And then when I put a big bulky hoodie like this in there, it just takes up a little bit of space. So there's not a ton of room, but I think most people, for the most part, don't have a problem with it. And like I said, it's really durable. The only thing that really is bad about it, I guess, is, and this is just because it's getting thrown around a lot, is the paint on the steel starts to go away, and you kind of just get scratches, and the paint starts to fade away. But that's just paint. And most parts on the bag are actually replaceable. So the handle, this part right here on one of my trips over Christmas time actually broke, and Crew Outfitters in the airport in Atlanta has a ton of replacements of these. So I was just able to go get it replaced really quick, and it's like 20 bucks and I was good to go. And then I pair that with, now this is new actually, this is AeroCoast, not sponsored as well, but this is a cooler combined with a EFB. So I put my iPad in the back pocket here, and there's a cooler on the inside, and then I keep like my high-vis vest, my documents in here, pens, pencils, all the things like that, and then charger, snacks, my keys, my AirPods, everything in the top here. And then I just use this little strap right here, put it on the J-hook on the front of the suitcase, and I'm good to go. And before this, I was actually lugging around 3 bags, and I hated it. I had my flight bag and then my cooler. This was a game changer. This is actually trip number 1 with it, and I love it already because I'm not lugging around 3 bags up and down a subway platform in New York. So yeah, luggage works, AeroCoast, go get them. All right, we're gonna wrap it up with this last one. So what does the process look like when I get to the airport? After I take the train and I take the bus to the airport, I'll get to the airport, and then I'll go through TSA. Hopefully I don't get random when I'm going through non-crew member, and if I get randomed, I'll go through normal security like every other passenger. And the biggest thing that I'll say that I feel like I get asked a lot is like, oh, well, what's the difference? Really, the big key difference I'll tell you is when we're going through TSA as a uniformed passenger, we don't have to abide by the liquid restrictions that a normal passenger would have to. That's one of the privileges that we get as a crew member when we're traveling around. We can have water, we can have full-size, soaps, things like that, and we don't have to worry about anything like that. So that's a big difference about being in uniform as a crew member versus being a passenger. Because if I'm a crew member in these type of clothes, I no longer have the privilege of having as much liquid as I want. I still have to abide by the normal restriction like a normal passenger would. So go through security and then get to the airplane at 45 minutes prior. So we call that D-45. Get scanned on, we walk down to the airplane. I'll typically go out right when I get there, do the pre-flight walk around. I'll come in if I'm pilot flying, I'll load the FMS. If I'm pilot monitoring, I'll do the pilot monitoring flow. If it's the first flight of the day, there's a couple different procedures that we have to do differently compared to if it was like the 5th flight of the day. D-30, passengers will typically start boarding unless they board a little bit early. And then the flight deck can be set up pretty quickly, unless we're running behind or the inbound was late or something like that, then we can typically be ready by D-10, and then sometimes even sooner than that. But if we're late, we might be past our original departure time, so we might be just moving a little bit more quickly to get everything set up just to be able to make it out after our departure time. And then there's not really any waiting time in between being ready to go versus dropping the brake. So hopefully all goes well to around D-3, we can drop the brake and get the door closed, drop the brake, start getting paid, get out of there, get on our way for our flight. And then when we go to our destination, we either do the whole thing again or we go to the hotel, and that's what that looks like. So, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the 3-day trip. Like I said, I know it was a little bit since I posted last. Definitely gonna try to start getting some more videos out, as I do have quite a bit of trips coming up. I should hopefully have a little bit better layovers to be able to do some stuff, because a lot of the trips I've had lately have been either starting really early, kind of going to a point in the day where there's not really much to do, or it's just a destination that doesn't have a ton to do, or I start later and I was sleeping just to be able to make sure I was well rested. I would work out or something like that, and then we get in really late, so there wasn't a ton to do. So my seniority is definitely getting a little bit better, and I'm getting more of what I want. Next month, I plan on actually trying to bid for some layovers that might have a little bit more time or might have a better destination with a little bit more stuff to do, because I definitely want to get out and do some stuff. It's been hard, especially this winter. This has been the coldest and snowiest winter we've had in the Midwest in quite some time. So going out and doing stuff when it's snowy and cold, it's not that it's hard, but it's definitely, after a long day, it's less appealing, let's put it that way. Gonna try to get some better layovers and just try to get out and do stuff a little bit more and bring you guys along, because I know you guys like seeing what it's like to be on a layover, what it's like to be a regional airline pilot, and just what the life is like for the most part. So if you guys did like this video and you want to see future videos, please hit that like button, please hit the subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so you don't miss any future videos from me. Gonna start cranking these things out, gonna get you guys updated with what's going on, bring you along, and just keep showing you what it's like to be a regional airline pilot. But until next time, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.